Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Welcome to Congregation Beth Israel at home. We are looking forward to praying with you tonight and celebrating a beautiful event in our congregation's history, our confirmation services. We have wanted to bring confirmation back to Erev Shabbat so that most of the congregation could celebrate. And so here we are this evening celebrating our 10th graders and their confirmation to their Jewish identities. We will hear from them this evening in song and in voice, and they will explain to us who they have become as Jews in our community.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotzav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Welcome the Sabbath bride with Lecha Dodi. Lecha Dodi likrat kalai yalalai 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 b'nei Shabbat nikabila. Lecha Dodi likrat kalai yalalai 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 b'nei Shabbat Kabila Shamor v'zachor v'dibur echad Hishmiyanu el hamiyuchad Adonai echad u'shmo echad l'shem u'tiferet v'litila Dodi likrat kalai yalalai 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 b'nei Shabbat nikabila. Lecha Dodi likrat kalai yalalai 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 b'nei Shabbat nikabila. Hitoreri
דברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה לך דודי לקראת כלה יללי 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 בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה יללי 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 בני שבת נקבלה בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובצהלה תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי חלה לך דודי לקראת כלה יללי 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 בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה יללי 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 בני שבת נקבלה.
We rise together for our call to prayer, Baruch Hu. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך על היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ושוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם להיות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי יהיתם קדושים לאלוהיהם אני אדוני אלוהיהם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות להם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Prayer is like a mountain. The best views come after the hardest climbs. Well, it may be a journey to get to the final destination, which may leave you questioning if the journey was worth it. The more spiritual prayer is like the best views. In order to get there, one has to open themselves up to the elements as well as God.
Prayer is like a mirror. Like a reflection, we can only see what we put forth. Like glass, it can easily be broken or interrupted. Like the laser that cuts it, it can be straight to the point. Like self-image, it can be complicated and deep. Prayer is like a mirror because while we're all saying the same words, what we individually see is very different.
Prayer is like the coronavirus. Annoying and a pain in the butt when you don't need it. Anxiety causing and overwhelming when you don't want it. And yet when you do, there is a surprising amount of societal cooperation.
Yai lai lai yai la 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 yai lai lai la 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 yai lai lai yai la 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 yai lai 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 yai la 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 mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh nora tehilot Osei Feled, Nora Tehilot, Osei Feled. Malechutecha ra'u banecha, Chokei hayam lifnei Moshe uMiriam. Ze Elianu ve'amru, Ze Elianu ve'amru. At this uncertain time, we ask for God's certainty, a shelter of peace, a Sukkat Shalom. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom, v'ha'amidenu shomreinu l'chaim, ufros aleinu Sukkat shlomecha, ufros aleinu Sukkat shlomecha. Amen. Shelter us beneath your wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the The children of Israel shall keep Shabbat throughout all times. We join together in Vishamru.
Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, la'asot et HaShabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, la'asot et HaShabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
We come to our Amidah prayer, our tefillah, one of the most important moments in our prayer life, where we have the opportunity to use the words of our Siddur or the words of our heart to bring us closer to the eternal spirit of the universe. It's so important to remember to pray as if everything depended on God, and to act as if everything depended on you.
La
Healing comes to us in so many ways. By the grace of God, through our prayers, through the help of loved ones, and particularly through the help of healers. This week we honor our nurses. So many of you are working in our congregation to help heal those in need. And I would just like to name a few this evening. We want to thank Jan Cass, Sabina Stern, Jenna Scarafoni, and Stephanie Liulkin, and all of you who are working in this extraordinary profession to heal people that we love. In our community, we are wishing for refuat hanefesh and refuat haguf, healing of body or spirit, for Devora bat Shena Chana, Leslie Fathman, Sebastian Ferron, Denise Garrick, Tracy Gilmore, Laura Haberman, Larry Hirsch, Ellen Hutt, Heidi Krantz, Erica Leaf, Leka Bat Yehudit, Jeremy Mandel, Mary Marshall and Stephen Gould, Nessa Bat Yosefa Shoshana, Patty Peters, Paula Park, Shira Robbins, Arlene Salinger, Jerry Sampson, Rhonda Schwartz, Shulamis Bat Sarah Esther, Maxine Trimble and Gerald Trimble, Linda Valfer and Fred Valfer, Sabina Wallach, Rodney Washington, and George Wise. If there is someone that you are praying for, we know that you hold them tightly in your hearts. Please share their names with your families and join us as we pray together.
Shabbat Shalom. Confirmation is about relationships. These confirmands are confirming who they are in relation to each other, as well as all of the facets that make up their Jewish identities. In every session this year, we covered a topic, some of the confirmands choosing, and we explored how each of us as individuals relate to that topic. This year's confirmation class consisted of 3 different units: exploring our Jewish identities and examining all the parts of ourselves that make us who we are, preparing for, going on, and taking home the Litzaken experience in DC, where our students visited museums, including the Holocaust Museum and Memorial, as well as lobbying their values on Capitol Hill. They also have developed and are helping leading this meaningful service. This year, for their confirmation statements, our students are sharing one moment in this past year that really confirmed for them where their Jewish identity is in their lives.
Shabbat Shalom, Congregation Beth Israel. This past year, I had the amazing opportunity to go to Litaken with my fellow teens and lobby my representatives on Capitol Hill. One of the moments that I really felt connected, because it was such an amazing and heartwarming experience, was when I walked into the Senate building and saw the front of Kamala Harris's office. I look to my right and I see that she has these different flags and a sign that says "All Dreamers Welcome," in one in English and one in Spanish. And I felt amazing. I felt as though I was, supported and accepted for being me and being who I am. And even after we left the building, I had a lot of people walking up to me who I'd come to the event with, telling me how much, they supported me and how much they believed in me. And so that moment really confirmed to me that I am me, and I really would not change that for anybody else. I'm Jewish, I'm transgender, I am mixed, and that's me. That is my identity, and that is not something that I would ever change or ever want to change about myself.
Shabbat Shalom, I'm Anna Livingstone. Our confirmation class was asked to reflect on a moment this year that confirmed our Jewish identity. For those who know me, it won't surprise you that I was crying during that moment. At the end of this past year's Yom Kippur service, I heard the opening notes to my favorite song, L'Dor Vador. After just a few lines, I became overcome with emotion and tears. I turned and hugged my mom, consumed in a moment of revelation and gratitude. As I let the beautiful lyrics wash over me, I realized the obvious, that my mom was there with me, supporting me, in the sanctuary where I grew up, surrounded by the music and synagogue that I love, celebrating the Jewish part of my identity. Because to me, Judaism is about family and community. As a member of a family that values Judaism, I grew up with a strong Jewish education and a deep understanding of how it connected me to all the generations that came before me. Over the years, my connections through sleepaway camp and Hebrew school have helped me define my Jewishness. Although I was brought up with Judaism, I've now chosen it. I'm Jewish to celebrate and carry on the tradition and culture that raised me and brought connection, love, and a sense of belonging into my life. I want to thank all my classmates, family, teachers, and especially Rabbi Jeremy Gimbel for being a part of my journey. I'm proud to have found a place for myself in the Jewish community and to have made it my own. Shabbat Shalom.
Hello, my name is Daniela Abbott, and I'm in confirmation class of 5778 at Congregation Beth Israel. I realized what Judaism means to me when I went to my first NIFTY event. NIFTY is a Jewish organization with events hosted by a group of teens. My first event took place in spring of 2019, and I only went because some of my friends recommended going. The first moment I really remember is the NIFTY cheer. When I heard it, I was really overwhelmed and confused. However, the next morning, someone told me and other people to go outside and then they taught us to cheer. When we did the cheer again later that night and the next morning, I never felt happier. That time I was surrounded by all my new friends I had only met just that day before. Even though I didn't know everybody that was there, I felt comfortable being myself. It made me realize that Judaism, to me, means community and friendship. I feel like I'm given a sense of belonging. I went to my first NIFTY event only knowing a few people, but by the time I had left, I had a whole group of friends that are still a big part of my life today.
Hello, my name is David Lutz. This has been a notable year for me, my progression through my Jewish journey. There have been many notable events that took place that were in their own right inspiring, but the situation in which I felt most confirmed in my Jewish identity was on the Talkin in Washington, D.C. It was very powerful to have hundreds from the RAC marching up Capitol Hill to lobby our various Congress members about a wide variety of issues ranging from gun control to environmental reform. It was moving because I truly felt I was being listened to by their political aides. They did not dismiss us for only being kids, but were interested in what we had to say as we were still their constituents. It was the first time that I politically felt my voice mattered. It is very easy to get drowned out in a country of 350 million people. Another notable event on the Talkin was performing Havdalah services on the Jefferson Memorial, a man who wrote the Bill of Rights, so we were able to celebrate such a holiday openly. Finally, what was most powerful was when we visited the Holocaust Museum. It was soul-crushing, but another reminder of the struggles that our ancestors, who simply wanted to be left alone to be able to practice their religion, went through. While I've heard many stories from the survivors, it added another layer to be able to see artifacts, photos, and other powerful images that are now preserved forever so we may never forget.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Gardner. I've been a member of Beth Israel for as long as I can remember. I grew up in the preschool and religious school, so my Jewish identity is pretty deep-rooted. Us confirmands have been asked to reflect on a moment during the past year that confirmed our Jewish identity. That was a difficult task for me. Ever since I was little, I've always had a complicated relationship with prayer. I've always thought to myself something along the lines of, I don't think I'm praying right, or I'm not Jewish enough compared to my peers. I've never had the same connection to prayer and Judaism as my classmates, and I thought that was a bad thing. Thinking more about it has made me understand that everyone's connections are different because everyone is different. I don't need to compare myself to others. My beliefs may be slightly different, but that's okay. After that thought process, I was still having difficulty coming up with a moment that confirmed my Jewish identity. I then remembered how I've always felt a connection to Jewish values and traditions. They've definitely helped shape me as a person. The idea of traditions reminded me of how much I love cooking holiday meals with my grandparents. I always look forward to it. Unfortunately, this year for Passover, due to COVID-19, I was not able to go to their house and help cook and prepare for the Seder like I always have in the past. I was really devastated about that because I was so excited. Thankfully, we were able to have a Seder over Zoom, but it just wasn't the same. At that moment, I didn't really like that. I wanted what I've always had, a Seder in person, with my family, and all the traditions to go along with it. In hindsight, as frustrated as I may have been with that situation, it's what got me to understand and realize that my love for tradition is what has shaped and confirmed my Jewish identity the most.
Hi, my name is Emily Boudman. In the past year, I've had many incredible opportunities and special moments within my Jewish community. One such moment was at a Jewish summer camp I go to every summer called Camp Ramah. One night we were all sound asleep in our cabins when we got a surprise wake-up from all of our counselors. They told us to quickly get dressed and go to the hill where we were met by the rest of our sleepy Adah. We spent the rest of the night playing games and laughing together until the sun began to rise. As the sun rose, we began our morning services like usual, except a few hours earlier. When we reached the Amidah portion of the service, we were all given the opportunity to do silent prayer out on the hill while watching the sunrise. I went out in my own space, but still surrounded by the place and the people that make me the happiest in the world. I said the Amidah silently to myself while watching the sky change from orange to blue. I felt peaceful. Prayer has always been a challenge for me to understand and interpret. I look at it as more of a physical action rather than an internal spiritual action. However, this summer, especially at this moment on the Hill, my views of prayer changed. It became something that would bring me peace and happiness rather than just another thing to do in the day. I felt like I was beginning to truly form my Jewish identity and the Jew I was destined to be and wanted to be. I feel truly grateful for that moment in my Jewish journey, and it will never be forgotten.
As I look back on this past year, it's hard to remember the amazing times when my memory seems to be fogged with the current situation of our world. But it's crazy to think that just 2 months ago we were in Washington, D.C., meeting new friends, bettering ourselves Jewishly, and becoming more independent. That was a life-changing trip for sure. I felt more connected than ever to the people that surrounded me. We all believed in the same spiritual being and didn't have to argue with one another about it, even while we were debating political perspectives. There was something that connected us all. In confirmation class with Rabbi Gimbel this year, we talked a lot about what it really means to be confirmed. To not only pledge our Judaism to an audience, but to ourselves. For me, confirming myself Jewishly was a process. It all began at my bat mitzvah, where I became an adult in my community. Then I went to Camp Ramah in Ojai, California for the first time. There was something so special and so beautiful about being captured by nature's wonders and all the pure bliss that camp offers. You are disconnected from the outside world, but are even more connected to your peers, counselors, leaders, and God. Jewish Sleepaway Camp is an experience like no other. And then this year, diving deep into conversations with my friends of many years, taking on new leadership roles as Madrahim, traveling to the nation's capitals with 400 teens from across the country, it all had a whole new meaning. This past year has confirmed my beliefs in the power of Jewish connection, and now I look forward to the next chapter of discovering upon those connections.
If I had to choose a time within the past year that significantly impacted my Jewish identity, I wouldn't be able to do it. At times, some experiences intended to emphasize spirituality backfired and made me feel apprehensive to be Jewish and to express my identity as such in some cases. The most impactful aspect of Judaism for me that has influenced me my whole life is by far the Jewish morals and values, as well as the culture that draws me to the community. I'm extremely grateful for all of the amazing experiences and opportunities I have had, such as youth groups, Jewish summer camp, being a madricha at the Beth Israel Hebrew School, Litaken, and every other thing that has made a meaningful difference in my perception of what it means to be Jewish. And for all the moments that made me realize how lucky I am to be a part of this community. Thank you.
If someone were to ask me where I feel the most Jewish, my answer would not necessarily be at synagogue or Hebrew school, but instead I would say at summer camp, Camp Mountain High, swaying back and forth to the acoustic guitar and singing Jewish and Israeli songs on Shabbat with my best friends. This is where I feel the most connected to Judaism. And being surrounded by the natural beauty of the woods opened my mind to the spiritual connection all Jewish people share. It was in these moments that I learned the most important part of my Jewish identity is the community that comes along with it. On these Shabbat nights, you really feel connected to the people around you. And this feeling is so much stronger because of our unifying Jewish beliefs. My Jewish identity is fueled by this growing sense of community and the wonderful feeling of being fully welcomed into a group of people connected on a deep level by their Judaism, which is especially important because this is not always available in the larger community. It was at this time that I realized how important my Judaism is to me, because without embracing it so fully, I would not have had this amazing community and group of friends. I would not have had opportunities to really connect to my Jewish identity and to feel what it means to be Jewish without these moments at camp and the community there.
Hi, I'm Hillary, and this is my confirmation statement. So, a moment that for me reaffirmed my Jewish identity was this winter at the Camp Mountain High winter camp. I became connected to Camp Mountain High through Beth Israel, actually, because the 4th and 5th grade camp that I first went on was to Mountain High, and then I loved the place so much that I started going over the summer, and now it is my home every single summer. I've gone for 6 years, and I love the place a lot, and it is one of the best places for me to connect to my Jewish identity, both in like a spiritual aspect and a communal aspect. So it was the last day of winter camp, and I got this really, really strong sensation that I needed to go to the Teatron. For those of you who don't know, it's like a campfire where everyone has services, and it's got this really beautiful overlook, and it's always a place where I feel really like connected to God, and it's one of the best places on earth for me to feel spiritually invested and like present. So I had this really overwhelming urge that I needed to go there. So I grabbed my best friend Gabby. I was like, we're going to the Teatron, even though we were supposed to be like packing our bags. And she was like, what? Why? Why are we going? I'm like, I just have this sensation. Just trust me. We need to go there. She's like, okay, fine, but I don't see why we're going. Anyway, she came with me, and once we got to the Teatron, it was just so beautiful and silent, and we could both feel that there was a presence there, and we just both started crying. And it really made us realize how much we appreciate camp. And for me, it made me realize how big of a part my Jewish identity is to who I am. And I'm really glad that I have camp and that I have Beth Israel as places that I can feel safe and practice Judaism and just explore that facet of my identity.
Hi, I'm Julia Galprin. Nearly 3 years ago, I stood in front of this beautiful congregation as a bat mitzvah. As I taught the crowd about my Torah portion and as we sung together, I glimpsed at the faces of friends and family, as well as many others. Right then, I knew that that day would be the happiest day of my life. I felt a strong sense of community and connection between everyone sitting in the crowd. This moment allowed me to realize all the things I love about Judaism. No matter where I am, religious school, in front of the bima, camp, or even at home, I feel a wonderful sense of community, and it makes me realize how meaningful Judaism is to me. The first time I experienced this was when I joined the Hebrew school at Beth Israel in 5th grade. Not only was everyone super kind, but it was so easy to make friends. I felt accepted, and I bonded with so many of my friends who are still here for me today. My most recent and most inspirational experience in the Jewish community came in my last year of camp, and being able to be a madrahim for the 5th and 6th graders at their weekend sleepaway camp. Camp Mountain High has always been a very special place for me. I made some lifelong friends and memories that I will never be able to forget. Camp is a place where I feel accepted for who I am. This year was my last year at camp, and it was really hard to say goodbye. I remember towards the end of camp, I had to leave early for a summer program at my school. I did not know if I was going to be able to return or not. I remember everyone in Atid all gathered together during breakfast to say goodbye to me. We chanted camp cheers and sang songs. I will cherish this moment forever. This day made me realize the mini community I had at camp. As a madrahim for the 5th and 6th graders at their camp, I felt a strong sense of passion to create this same mini community among them, because I remember how amazing it feels to be a part of one. I had so much fun with them, and even though I am not the same age as them, I felt a strong connection with all of them. I truly have been blessed to be a part of this wonderful Jewish community.
I always knew our confirmation would be unique. I never thought it would be like this. Our class has always been a special one. We've had Jessica 3 times as a teacher, and are the only class to have her as our madrahim and training teacher. We've had Rabbi Jeremy as a teacher twice, the only class to do so, and we had him as a teacher back when he was just Jeremy. We've lived through things as ridiculous as standing on desks and shouting about our morals, values, and ethics. Things as jarring as half of our class leaving after their bar and bat mitzvahs. And things as emotional as teachers leaving halfway through the year for family emergencies. We've stood in circles with our arms around each other, singing Hashkivenu in the courtyard, and stood in a circle singing Osei Shalom inside the DC Holocaust Memorial. We've made everything from TikToks to challahs for caring community. We've laughed. Some of us have cried, definitely cried, on multiple occasions. But most of all, we've made unbreakable bonds. We've developed relationships through the years of knowing each other, through years of memories, years of laughing and crying, and everything in between. I've made friendships that will last me a lifetime and definitely beyond. Some of the most important memories, events, and people in my life are solely because I am a Jew. And not just a Jew, but a proud Jew. I am proud to be a Jew because of the music, because of the people, because of the amazing experiences I've been able to have because I am a Jew. Confirmation is about confirming your Jewish identity. My Jewish identity isn't specifically a social Jew, or a cultural Jew, or a religious Jew, or even a musical Jew. I am a proud Jew. The moment for me that best encapsulates everything that makes me proud to be a Jew was in DC. It was the last night, and people were just finishing up their speeches to lobby on Capitol Hill the next morning. As people started to trickle back into the hallway outside of our rooms, we all sat on the floor. We sat in kind of a weird oval shape, fitting for our class who can't make a circle, and listened as Rabbi Jeremy broke down what the following day would look like, from wake up to landing in San Diego. After we finished, and after all the questions, we looked around at each other. We looked around at the people that we've been on this journey with for upwards of 11 years. We put our arms around each other at 11 at night and quietly sang Hashkivenu in the hotel hallway. We were all exhausted. There were strangers in the rooms around us, but still we sat on the floor and sang. The moment was so precious but powerful. I looked around at my family, all sitting together, singing together, being together. And right when we got up, I realized that that was a moment that was important. The moment that truly made me proud to be a Jew. It confirmed, in my mind, who I was as a Jew. Yes, I am a social Jew. Yes, I'm a cultural Jew. Yes, I'm a religious Jew. And yes, I am a musical Jew. But my identity truly and simply is a proud Jew. I am proud of our whole confirmation class for making it through these crazy years together, and I can't wait for the next 2 years to come. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom.
Hello, my name is Leora Krantz, and with the rest of my confirmation classmates tonight, I'm here to tell you about a moment this year that confirmed my Jewish identity. I felt as if I hit a new milestone in my own Jewish journey many times throughout the year, so this question was difficult. Beth Israel is my home, where I've enjoyed pursuing my Jewish passions, growing my Jewish identity, and creating many friendships. I believe that every day that I step into Beth Israel, I am confirming my faith to myself, those around me, and opening up to others about why I'm here. So if I had to pinpoint one moment throughout the year, what would it be? I believe that it would be the time that the elevator opened at the Holocaust Museum in Washington, D.C. My classmates and I went on the Litaken trip this past February, and the trip was extraordinary, to say the least. My eyes were opened in so many ways to the wonders that Judaism can have on hundreds of teens just like myself, as I was also a tourist in one of my favorite cities. I saw a side of Judaism that I hadn't explored before, policy and the government aspects of the issues that impact the U.S. every day, including the impact that I can have on those policies. So, as I stepped into the first room of the Holocaust Museum, my emotions twisted and turned as I had never experienced something so empowering. The whole journey through the museum, including every image and artifact that I focused on, left a mark on me. As I walked through the museum, I looked around me and saw the many other Jewish teens who were feeling the same feelings that I was, and this comforted me. At that moment, and towards the end of the museum tour, when CBI gave us the opportunity to write down and express the feelings in our minds on paper, I reminded myself why I'm here. I love being Jewish and the connection it gives me to my inner self. The community I have formed will be with me no matter what, and that is why I have continued my Jewish journey all the way through this day, the end of my 10th grade religious school class at CBI. This experience is one I am eternally grateful for, and I want to thank the confirmation class for the impact you have had on me.
In the past year, I've developed more of an understanding of my Jewish identity through the relationships I've developed from sleepaway camp and religious school, as well as the memories I have made with them. The unique things about these relationships is that we all share an important similarity, which is Judaism. I've known most of my camp and religious school friends since elementary school or even preschool.
Throughout the years, we all have grown in our different ways, however, we also have developed together as Jews. During our Lita Ken trip to Washington, D.C., we all used our Jewish values to lobby in front of our congressman, as well as share a meaningful experience at the Holocaust Museum. I have no words that would accurately describe how powerful it felt to stand in a circle and say the Mourner's Kaddish after we had reconnected at the end of our museum experience. I also found a Jewish connection during the weeks leading up to the Lita Ken Saturday morning service. I felt very connected to my Judaism through volunteering to learn and read a Torah portion during the Shabbat service, attended by Jews from every end of the country. Although I barely knew a fraction of who made up the room, it was such a powerful experience to see everyone say the same prayers in unity. In the past year, I've learned that my Jewish identity is important to me because I am a part of a very unified community.
A moment in the past year that confirmed my Jewish identity was not just one moment, but instead all of my Sunday mornings spent at Beth Israel, being a Madrahim for second graders. Last September, when I found out a Madrahim was needed for a second grade class one Sunday because the teacher didn't have enough Madrahim, I knew I wanted to help out. My time in that class convinced me that I wanted to become a full-time Madrahim for that class. I became close with the students, along with the teacher and the other Madrahim in the class, and I realized I found joy in helping out the children. Working with those second graders every Sunday and earning the trust of many students really made me realize I was doing a mitzvah every week when I walked into that classroom, knowing that the students were about to have a fun morning of learning about Judaism. I applied to become a camp counselor for the summer, and I believe I will be better suited as a camp counselor because of my experiences as a Madrahim. I have always felt a sense of community working alongside my fellow Madrahim, and I have enjoyed the responsibility of helping the kids and assisting the teacher. I am proud of the contributions that I have made at Beth Israel, and knowing that I am making an impact at my religious school makes me feel closer with God and confirms my Jewish identity.
Hi, my name is Melanie Spitzberg. I've never given great thought to being Jewish, it's just part of who I am. I've been a student at Beth Israel since before my second birthday. Therefore, this community has always been very familiar to me. From time to time, however, I've had to stop and take pause to think about how my background is different from many of my school friends and teammates, explaining why I had to miss school or a field hockey game on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, drawing attention to my Jewish identity. That being said, I'm very proud to be Jewish. I'm proud to be associated with such a strong, resilient, and driven group. Missing an activity or a school day for being Jewish and celebrating a Jewish holiday does not really confirm my identity. In fact, it has been at the moments when I am surrounded by my family when I have absolute confirmation of my Jewish identity. One such moment came at my sister Jenna's bat mitzvah last fall. Although I have been called to the bima before, for Yom Kippur and during other b'nai mitzvahs, it was at Jenna's service where I felt truly connected to the process, the prayer, and the moment. When I read an aliyah with my parents, I knew that I was recognized as a Jewish adult, and it did not seem fraudulent, like something I had to do to prove that I was part of the ceremony. It felt like I was meant to do it, like it was a moment where I could proudly represent my family and my religion. To reiterate, I am proud to be Jewish. I hope that the moment at Jenna's bat mitzvah was not fleeting. I hope that I have many such occasions when my Jewish identity is highlighted and celebrated.
Hello, my name's Olivia Stabil, and I'm in confirmation class of 5778 at Congregation Beth Israel. When I moved from Maryland to San Diego, there was so much that I had missed. My friends, school, childhood home. At my old synagogue in Maryland, I had learned all of the tunes and words to the songs I grew up with. They held such beautiful memories. And then when I came to Congregation Beth Israel in 5th grade, I was scared. I didn't know any of the new kids. There were all new songs with completely different tunes. It made me feel like an outsider. And now, 5 years later, after having been in choir for a few years and being a madracha on Sundays and Thursdays, I have learned all the songs that a few years ago I hadn't known. I now find comfort in these songs because while they may have a different tune than the ones that I learned as a child, they still have the same words. This year, my class and I are tasked with discovering what Judaism means to us and affirming our Jewish identities. The moment I can remember when I realized what Judaism means to me was one evening a few months ago during winter break, when I missed class. I missed the students, and I missed hanging out with my friends at Hebrew school. I decided that I was going to play some of my favorite songs online. The first song that I played was Who by Fire, one of my favorite songs from Rosh Hashanah, and one of the first songs that I learned at Congregation Beth Israel in the choir. I immediately burst out crying because the tune held such beautiful memories of Rosh Hashanah, of my family, of my friends, and I finally felt like I was part of a synagogue.
Hi, my name is Rachel Prager and I'm in 10th grade. One moment in the past year that confirmed my Jewish identity was the Washington, D.C. trip that we all took this year. More specifically, going to the Holocaust Museum and the Shabbat service at the Jefferson Memorial. Shabbat at the Jefferson Memorial, despite being very cold, was super impactful and one of my favorite memories from the trip. This service was for all the kids attending the RAC conference, so it was a crazy amount of people, which in my opinion made this moment even better. Sitting there on the steps of the Jefferson Memorial, surrounded by so many other Jews singing prayers while looking out at the rest of the city, was surreal. In this moment, I realized what a special environment I was in and how a group of strangers with one common thing of being Jewish could all come together and pray like we're all friends. My other moment from this trip that confirmed my Jewish identity was the Holocaust Museum. I had gone once before with my school, but this time I was impacted so much more by being with the congregation. Walking through the museum with my friends beside me, I have never felt more connected to Judaism. But it was in the Hall of Remembrance, where we all wrapped our arms around each other and sang prayer, was where my Jewish identity was confirmed. Being surrounded by other Jews saying prayer in such a devastating part of our past made me realize how lucky I am to be a Jew and that I want it to be a part of my identity forever.
Confirming my Jewish identity wasn't just a single moment of time or a sudden revelation that came to me during this last year, because I think that it is far more intertwined with the consanguinity between my values and the values I find in the teachings of Judaism. In confirmation class every Tuesday evening over the last few months, we've discussed the meaning of justice, how we think about God, and applications of Jewish values in our lives. These conversations help to clarify the importance of Judaism to me and how I want to implement the pieces of greatest sentiment and association with my morals in the future. Being a Madraha at religious school on Sundays this year has helped me to see the significance of carrying on the traditions of reading Hebrew and learning the teachings of Judaism, like your responsibility for yourself and for your community. The Jewish community has been especially important to me this year because even as school becomes more stressful and uncertainty is ubiquitous, I know I'm still able to depend on the Jewish community to be a part of my life. During our confirmation class trip to Washington, D.C., I was overwhelmed by the number of Jewish teens who were excited about enacting on and promoting social justice causes in our communities, locally, statewide, and nationally. My prior view on my Jewish community had been limited to the other confirmants at religious school, friends from Camp Mountain High, and my family, but being a part of a group so much larger than that was eye-opening. Having these experiences over the last year has helped me to understand why I care about Judaism and how I want it to be a part of my future.
Hello, my name is Sydney Walensky, and I would like to share my experience at Camp Ramah, which is my Jewish sleepaway summer camp. This is the place where I go for 1 month out of the year with my rabbis, teachers, counselors, and best friends. Jewish sleepaway camp is so important to me because it's the place where my Jewish identity was confirmed. Being surrounded with so many people like yourself for such a long period of time is an experience that I would never give up or trade. The sounds of thousands of people singing and praying together every day is something that I miss all the time. This past year, there was one specific moment that really stuck out to me and made me feel really a part of the Jewish community. My whole age group went on a 5-day, 4-night trip outside of camp. We went swimming, hiking, and every night we slept under the stars on the ground with just our sleeping bags. On the 3rd night, we celebrated Shabbat. We had a special outdoor service in the 90-degree heat with just our voices and our Siddurim. When Saturday came around, we wanted to do a Havdalah service to conclude the trip. No one was excited or looking forward to this service because usually at camp we do our services in our praying place, which is where we pray every morning, all in a circle on benches doing it all together. We thought that because we were outside in a different environment, that this new way of doing services wouldn't be as fun or as memorable as the normal way. But this Havdalah service was the most unforgettable Havdalah service that I've ever been a part of. The feeling of all my friends and the people I'm closest with holding hands on the dirt was something that I will never forget, and I look back on every Shabbat to this day. We were allowed to sing and scream at the top of our lungs because no one was around us. This feeling at the campsite outdoors made me really realize how important it is to be part of such a wonderful Jewish community and the amazing privilege that I have to be Jewish.
Hi, my name is Trevor Podesta. Throughout the last year, we as a class have been working with Jeremy to understand what Judaism means to us on a personal level, something that I've always struggled with. As the year progressed, exercise after exercise left me separated from my peers on the basis of belief, and I began to question my Jewish identity more and more. It wasn't until the Letaken trip to DC earlier this year where I felt like there was truly a moment that confirmed my Jewish identity. As someone who has never felt very Jewish in the religious sense of the word, the ability to attend a conference with Jewish teens from across the country who I could resonate with on a culturally Jewish level more so than a religious one was an invaluable experience. In the hours and days leading up to the long day of speeches in front of our representatives, there were hours and hours of workshops tailored not only to our presentation and speech writing skills, but to the values that we as Reform Jews hold. For the first time, I was able to advocate for change on behalf of the system of ethics and morals that lay as an integral part of Reform Judaism as a religion, without the need of doing so in an inherently religious context. The juxtaposing ideology and politics throughout the weekend put into perspective just how Jewish one can be based off of nothing but their heritage and the morals with which they choose to live their lives. The opportunity to meet like-minded individuals in the crowd who, in spite of their similar focus on cultural Judaism, spoke on behalf of the Religious Action Center for Reform Judaism was something that confirmed my Jewish identity in the sense that for me, being Jewish was less about the religion itself, but more so about the meaning and community that came with it.
Confirmation class of 5780, Rabbi Gimbel and I are privileged this evening to bless you as you confirm your life as Jews in our community, in San Diego at large, and in the world. Mishaberach Avotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak, v'Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, v'Leah. Hu yivarech et Talmidenu.
May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless our students.
Like Abraham, may you have the courage to embark on new and exciting journeys.
And like Isaac, may you embrace the world with love.
Like Jacob, may you wrestle with challenge and triumph to be blessed.
And like Sarah, may your experiences be filled with joy and laughter.
Like Rebecca, may you be willing to help others as you continue your journey.
Like Rachel, may you be loved by all who meet you.
And like Leah, may you be blessed by the love of family who will always cherish you. It is our privilege to give you the oldest of God's blessing to our people, and we invite you to stand to receive this blessing. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
May God bless you and keep you.
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka.
May God's face shine brightly and radiantly upon you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lachem shalom.
May God's face be lifted to you in every encounter you have, as you bring that light to the world, so that you may receive the most precious gift, that of shalom, of wholeness, of completeness, of peace. Ken yehi ratzon. May this be God's will.
Shabbat Shalom. My name is Kimberly Carno, and it is my privilege to serve as president of Congregation Beth Israel. Thank you for joining us this evening for Shabbat and to honor our confirmation class. We hope you will join us next week for Blue and White Shabbat. Also, in case you were wondering, Rabbi Jason Navarez is in the process of packing up his house for his move west. He and his family will be here by July 1. Stay tuned for upcoming communications and messages as we prepare for his arrival and the start of our next chapter with Rabbi Navarez as our senior rabbi. Tonight I get the pleasure of speaking directly to the dedicated 10th graders who by their confirmation are affirming their Jewish identity and commitment to the Jewish people. With so many competing priorities, your choice to engage in intensive study with clergy and teachers to define your personal Jewish philosophy and theology is admirable. You traveled together to Washington, D.C. with Rabbi Gimbel and Jessica Kreitzer. You experienced the Holocaust Museum and lobbied your elected officials. You found the best in one another and in all Judaism has to offer. Your experience and your presence shaped each other. And then things got even crazier. You are the confirmation class that became familiar with the new normal that is COVID-19. You had to navigate through this chaos, and you did it by letting your Jewish values guide you. You stayed true to who you are when others might have, in this time, walked away from religious study. This repetitive act of showing up and engaging speaks volumes about your personal character and strength. You are a participatory class whose attendance has spiked during stay-at-home orders. You are active and involved. I see further evidence of how amazing you are in the election results for leadership positions on the Biddy board. Many of you have been elected by your peers for the characteristics you exemplify. Amongst you, I see future temple leaders and likely a few presidents. To be honest, we need you on the path you are forging. As Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "Do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path, and leave a trail." I join your teachers, parents, and clergy in congratulating you. We are excited to watch you continue to shine as 11th graders, and we will follow where you lead. Mazel Tov and Shabbat Shalom.
We are in the middle of counting the Omer, counting the days between Pesach and Shavuot as we ascend from redemption to Sinai. We join together and sang, Hineni muchan umzuman l'kayem mitzvat aseh shel sfirat ha'omer. I am ready to fulfill the mitzvah of counting the Omer. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sfirat ha'omer. Hayom shloshim yom shehem arba'a shavuot u'shnei yamim la'omer. Today is 30 days, which is 4 weeks and 2 days of the Omer.
This evening, we have so many people to thank for this beautiful service. I want to thank Dan Jones and Donnie Eastman, Rabbi Jeremy Gimbel, Jessica Kreitzer, the Gantwerk Mayer family, the Myers family, Ilana and Abby Hirschfeld, Kim Carno, and especially our confirmation class and your parents. We are so grateful to celebrate this evening with you.
Alleluia.
מטה גדולה יוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, ולא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד,
Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and every nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and of death. And we remember all of those who have died of the COVID virus. We are in the period of Shloshim, the 30 days after the burial, for Samita Suki Jacobs, Jerry Cronevet, Jordan Lagman, William S. Sandy Lockheim, Morton M. Maneker, Kenneth Francis Maringer, Henry Rosenthal, and Lillian Glickman Willis. And we remember those whose lives ended at this time in years past. Eli Abulafia, Edward Adelson, Blanche Ash, Sidney Baba, Abe Boehm, Louis Barnett, Stephen Baser, Harold Barrick, Morris Bernstein, Samuel Bernstein, Friedel Blumenthal, Celia Bonoff, Alfred Breslauer, Riatha Burnett, Sid Chain, Joseph Cohen, Mervyn Cooper, Estella M. Diaz-Zikri, Leonard Dorfman, Robert Ennis, Tzvi Fire, Bessie Fleming, Shirley Friedman, Herman Friedman, Millie S. Friedman, Robert Gilbert, Charles Ginsberg, Miriam Glazer, Hyman Glazer, Edwin Goldfarb, Melville Golding, Sally Goldman, Sylvia Grainer, Philip A. Green, Evelyn Hurwitz, Arnold Israel, Raymond Maxwell Kamak, Max Camel, Jarrell Kaplan, Ben Kaufman, Hyman Kobernick, Larry Kritzer, Abe Levitow, Seymour Littman, Lori Martin, Albert Nalvin, Marvin Nebben, Celia Nelson, Virginia M. Newton, Irving Perlman, Jules Pincus, Mitchell Plant, Elsie Price, David Ritter, Edward Roller, May Rettenberg, Elise Samish, Sandra Satz, Martha Lou Sebastian, Hannah Schechtman, Tamar Sherman, Samuel Sklar, Melody Steinberg, Albert Stern, Eileen Stone, Bud Strawling, Morris Waxenberg, Samuel Harold Wiener, Jay Winheld, Bruce Whitty, and Charles Zeman. If there is a name that I have not read and you are saying Kaddish this evening, please share that name with your families. Hold them deeply in your heart. And together we rise for Kadisha Tom, our Kaddish prayer. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, bi'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon, u'v'chaye dechol Beit Israel, ba'agala u'v'zman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach, le'alam u'lalmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal, shmei dekudisha b'richu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran bi'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru. Amen. Zichronam livracha, may their memories always be for a blessing.
We are gifts, we are blessings, we are history in song. We are hope, we are healing, we are learning to be strong. We are words, we are stories, we are pictures of the past. We are carriers of wisdom, not the first and not the last. Dor vador nagid lodecha, dor vador we protect His name, from generation to generation. Dor vador, these lips will praise Your name. Looking back on the journey that we carry in our hearts, from the shadow of the mountain to the waters that would part.
Congregation class, Mazal Tov, and to all, Shabbat Shalom.